Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
A friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Order Up, the Final Order Cutoff show. We have a great show for you guys as we discuss comics that are on Final Order Cutoff for Monday, January 13th. A lot of good signs that the new year of 2025 is going to be solid in comics with continuing series, some great trade paperbacks and facsimiles to remind us of our wonderful history in comics. And then on top of that, we have an awesome special guest in Corinna Bechko, who has worked on comics relating to one of the highest grossing films of all time, as well as some amazing new comics tying into both music and horror. So make sure you tune in, like, subscribe, and get some comments in because this is going to be an awesome show. And with that, let's go straight into the title.
Hi everyone, I'm Mathias Lewis, and I'm here to talk to you about FOC, or Final Order Cutoff. It is the last chance that we, the comic retailers, have to finalize our orders for comics releasing roughly 3 to 6 weeks out from the Mondays we finalize our orders. We deal with this every Monday, but this is important to you, the consumer, because it is the perfect time to reach out to your local comic shop if you want any specific or guaranteed items. If you want the Jim Lee or Dan Mora covers of Justice League Unlimited, reach out to your local comic shop and let us know. If you want the new issue of Lilo and Stitch, this is the perfect time to tell us. Because as long as you can get us the orders before Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, that will give your local comic shop retailer enough time to finalize that order, adding in whatever it is you want, so they can guarantee when it releases, we have a copy set aside waiting for you. So, always reach out to your local comic shop before 6 p.m. on Mondays with the comics you want. The sooner, the better, to guarantee they're waiting for you.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about comics that are on Final Order Cutoff for January 13th. That is a Monday, as always. And there's a lot of great ones we're going to be talking about. Now, we always implore that you reach out with any of these titles that you want to your local comic shop as soon as possible, because the sooner you reach out, the easier you make it on them. And hopefully you have a great local comic shop. We'd love to hear what your local comic shop is in the comments. But if for any reason you don't have a local comic shop, we're happy to take care of those FOC orders for you with a link you'll see on screen. So with that said, there are two places where we talk about, where we get to see the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff. We go to previewsworld.com/finalordersdue, which has an amazing list of all the Image, Marvel, Dark Horse, independent publishers that you love. But if you want to find your DC comics that are on Final Order Cutoff, you're going to want to go to lunardistribution.com. Now, I'm going to share my screen with you guys so you can see the comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, January 13th. We're at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue. But again, if you want to see your DC ones, we have a lunar distribution. It'll show you this wonderful page, and you just scroll down to upcoming FOC. Make sure you're on the right date, January 13th, and you can see all of those. So we'll dive directly into it with some amazing Image comics that you need to finalize your orders on. And there's a lot of fun to be had this week. As I mentioned in the opener, we have a lot of great trade paperbacks and some phenomenal facsimiles reminding us of this great history, but a lot of continuing series also. And those continuing series sometimes don't need a huge spotlight, but you can always see everything on FOC on these two websites, and let your local comic shop know what covers you want, what series you might not yet be subscribed to you want to make sure you're getting, or if you just want to hop on for a specific issue. So we're going to dive directly in mentioning things like the Chew Nomnibus, which is going to have the entire series, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later, as well as Doll Parts and Dust to Dust, the popular two new Image series getting second printings. We don't even have covers yet as they're rushing back to print that quickly. But the first one I want to talk about is the East of West End of Times Compendium. You're going to get all 45 issues of Jonathan Hickman and Nick Dragotta's epic tale for just $60, barely more than $1 a book. You're going to get everything in a single binding. And with Jonathan Hickman blowing up with the Ultimate Universe and everything he's doing at Marvel, it's going to be a time for people to go check this out. And rather than buying 10 trade paperbacks that average $15 a piece, making it about $150 value, you're getting one binding, one book, the entire series for $60. So that is a really, really cool one. If you've never read Image Comics East of West, this is a sci-fi Western epic that you will love and adore. Continuing on, we have a lot of great ongoing series that you can see on previewsworld.com, from Gunslinger Spawn, Hack/Body Bags, Juvenile Kaya, a lot of really, really great ones that are worth looking over. But the big one I want to point out next is Snot Girl. Brian Lee O'Malley is back with Leslie Hung. We have had a huge gap in Snot Girl, but if you love Scott Pilgrim, you're going to love Snot Girl. And this new story is actually going to call back to a plot line from years ago. I want to say 5 years ago, as Leslie and Brian return to do a sequel to their story Weekend. Beautiful Brian Lee O'Malley cover that very much has that Scott Pilgrim vibe on it. But if you like Leslie, you can also see her A cover on that. I am super excited that Snot Girl is back. I love the fun and very interpersonal slice of life feel that Brian Lee O'Malley's stories have brought. So having this influencer-led tale is always a good one. And I mean, I'm actually filming live in Canada today. So with an awesome Canadian author like Brian Lee O'Malley, that's a fun one. Out of curiosity, Kyle, my wonderful co-host, were you a fan of Snot Girl? Have you branched out beyond Scott Pilgrim with Brian Lee O'Malley?
I was grossed out by Snot Girl. And so I did not give it proper respect at first. It took me a minute to get there, but once I did, I really enjoyed it. The thing about it though is I've never read it as single issues. I've only ever read it as trades. So other than that first issue, I'm like, yeah, no, this is not for me. I've never picked up the single issues. I've only ever read it as trades. So now that I'm caught up on it, I may switch over. Starting with, what is this? The third volume?
This will actually be
fourth volume.
Issue 18 might be the fourth volume.
Then the fourth, yeah. I'd have to go next door and look at how many trades I have. But now that I'm caught up, I may start with this volume, picking up the individuals.
Yeah, no, it is an exciting and fun slice of life. I get that, obviously you get the gross out factor of this girl just, producing snot, but it's a fun and goofy one. It definitely keeps that Scott Pilgrim vibe alive. So if you've ever been enjoying that, that's a fun one.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have Spawn and, of course, The Walking Dead Deluxe, color versions of Walking Dead continuing onward. But Image has a nice, simple, ongoing FOC this week. Not a lot we need to spend too much time on. So let's dive into something where there is some great depth, and that is going to be Boom Studios. Boom has some big #1 releases and continuing series on this week's FOC. And the first one I want to talk about is Bronze Faces. I am incredibly excited about this new book from Shobo and Shoff Cocker. This looks amazing. It is about the idea of imperialism and museums stealing from natives in foreign lands, as this story talks about the British Museum obtaining some Nigerian artwork and the son of its creator being brought out to the museum, deciding, I'm sick of imperialists taking, things from the country they belong in. He has the opinion that he is going to steal his father's artwork back. But in researching the British Museum of History and Art, he discovers there's something even bigger that he can steal and bring back to its homeland. And that is these famous Benin bronze pieces. So here's the problem. When you're stealing from a museum, are you truly the hero, even if you're doing it for the right reasons? And what greater things can be brought in? So I'm very excited to see what Bronze Faces tells here, how it defines the heroism, and what perhaps paranormal twist could be in there. But it's a very interesting topic. I mean, obviously there's been a lot of debate recently on the idea of museums holding items from foreign lands that belong to those people. And it'll be a unique perspective, I really feel. I think that the creators have done some amazing books in the way of new masters. And Alexandre did incredible artwork on Jason Aaron's Once Upon a Time at the End of the World and Pornsack's Good Asian. Mm-hmm. So everything about this, I think, is going to be good. I mean, have you heard anything about Bronze Faces yet, Kyle?
Not Bronze Faces, but this is one of those that, again, when I saw this creative team, right, yeah. that was okay, I don't necessarily know that I'll vibe with the storytelling, but I trust the creative team enough that I'm going to give it a shot. So,
yeah. And then on top of that, we have another big new #1 from Boom in the way of the return to Graveyard Club. So the Graveyard Club is R.L. Stine's incredible horror. It is Goosebumps for a slightly older teenage age, but I can say as a notably older than teenage man, it's still a fun one for all ages. This sequel is going to be called Fresh Blood. I have the incredible Miguel Mercado cover on screen right now, but it's going to be the next chapter of these awesome tales. It gives me a Are You Afraid of the Dark vibe, I truly feel. But
Bob Stine is one of my heroes. Ironically, there's I've met him a few times, but there's a hotel I stay at when I go to Columbus for conventions called The Graduate. And at this hotel, they use R.L. Stine or Bob Stine's student ID from when he was at Ohio State as one of the room keys.
Really?
Like, all the room keys are famous alumni of the university that the hotel is close to, right? So The Graduate, UCLA might have Steven Spielberg or something on it, but like The Graduate Columbus has R.L. Stine and like Gloria Steinem as two of the options. And so, my room key is always a R.L. Stine student ID. But I was staying there for the first time I met him when at a convention there in Columbus, and really nice guy, really scary writer. I probably didn't sleep enough as a child because of him. I'd be 7 feet tall if I had.
Yeah, I mean, I will always love certain classics like It Came From Under the Sink.
Yeah. Well, and that's the other one I've become friends with is Tim Jacobus, who did all those amazing covers.
Oh,
so I'm watching for Boom to partner with Tim to do some covers for the Graveyard Club as well.
Well, and speaking of great covers, there is a FOC or Final Order Cutoff cover reveal. This cover did not exist until FOC this weekend, so you guys get your first glance at it right now. Beautiful Tua Lote. I love that you can see on Previews World, the cover artist is still listed as to be announced, but an amazing Tulalote cover right there. Has me very excited. So on top of that, we're going to have the return of Grimm, a second printing on Jim Henson's Presents that has some of my favorite characters from Farscape featured on there. So if you're a big Farscape fan, definitely something. If you missed out on Jim Henson Presents and your local shop has sold out, which would be totally understandable because this was an all-star creative team and series of classic Jim Henson Labyrinth Tales, Farscape, Fraggle Rock, etc. This is definitely worth grabbing. I know you're quite the Fraggle Rock fan, right, Kyle?
Up on Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, there we go. One that I really want to spotlight is Joyride. Joyride is an amazing, amazing sci-fi piece from Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, the same Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly that are currently 29 issues deep on Star Trek. These guys know sci-fi and they know character, personality-driven stories. I love Jackson and Colin to death. If you've ever met them, you know they are themselves a personality as the hive mind. But they worked with Marcus Toe on this sci-fi story that is sadly getting way too close to reality. We actually get two sci-fi stories with this topic that the government of Earth does not want to deal with outside extraterrestrial beings or, governments or federations of an alien nature. Joyride takes that story and brings a group of teenagers together who want to break away from that. This is the story of three teenagers stealing a spaceship and going out to interact with the stars and the aliens out there, despite Earth wanting to lock itself off from any interaction. I think this is an incredible story, and you're going to get all 12 issues for just $20. I mean, that would have been over $50 of single issues, $20 in an amazing binding, incredible artwork by Marcus Toe. If you have not read this, this is well worth taking a look at. So Joyride, awesome book. And then, of course, the second issue of When I Lay My Vengeance Upon Thee is also on FOC. A lot of fun stuff from Boom. Boom really has an impressive week to finalize your orders with your local comic shop. It's great stuff. I'm excited for it. So with that said, let's take a quick commercial break before we come back with our awesome special guest, Corinna Bechko, and some more comics on Final Order Cutoff this Monday.
Whoa. Whoa. Did you miss it? Yeah, they can go by pretty fast. Let's slow down the footage.
Welcome. It's time to skim some comics. Miles Morales Spider-Man, I will just tell you that Miles is very important in his role as a vampire. So
it's fine. If you like Hercules, read it. If you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's fine.
The art is still stunning. There's a panel, little spoiler, there's a panel in this where Chitauri first hits Lion-O, and he is the best "did she really just hit me" face I've ever seen put in a comic book.
Wow, live reviews of new comic books so you can be ready for New Comic Book Day. What is this? Oh, I see. It's Minute to Skim It. Part of the experience.
right, welcome back, guys. I have an absolutely amazing special guest for today's show with some books that not only were just on FOC last week, but upcoming FOC titles that are going to blow your mind. So without further ado, let me present the incomparable Corinna Bechko.
Hello.
Hi, Corinna. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. I thought I'd be coming to you with better lighting in a better spot at work, but my day job is closed, so I'm at home.
Oh, no. I mean, so you're actually in LA where the fires are happening. Hopefully
That's
everything is okay around you.
Yeah, for where we are, it's okay. We did get an evacuation warning this morning, and it turned out it was an error. So big heart attack, no actual repercussion.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're safe. I know that a lot of people in the comic industry, and I mean, just a lot of people in general, have been affected by the fires in Los Angeles.
Yes, it's really awful. I feel terrible for everybody. I feel a little glib saying, "Oh, I'm okay," because a whole lot of people aren't. But
yeah, I do want to really quickly point out that we know several amazing creators like David Boer and Andrew Robinson, unfortunately, have lost their homes and all of their possessions. So at some point, we'll have to, point to their various GoFundMes and other ways that you can help them out. And I know there's a lot of people who've unfortunately lost everything. So definitely something, if you're looking to help, to look into various Los Angeles relief efforts for the fires. So thank you for bringing that up. And hopefully you stay safe and nothing happens to anything at your work or home.
Yeah, comics must keep getting made today. So I'm hoping for the best.
Absolutely. So, I mean, you're working on a lot of incredible comics. Obviously, in the past, you've done amazing things such as huge properties like The Expanse, Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar, which was one of the highest grossing films of all time. And you got to do the comics for that. But you've also done amazing books like Invisible Republic, Star Wars, and I could go on forever.
Green Lantern.
Yes, Green Lantern, Earth One. Yeah, you have a prolific career of amazing writing.
Thank you.
But let's talk first on the one that just finalized orders last week, because the viewers can still reach out to their local comic shop and get advanced reorders in. You're working with a very famous band on a comic called Sister Imperator. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, this one was a surprise to me. Band Ghost, and they have a very deep mythology around a lot of their characters, and I'm writing Sister Imperator, and it was just such a wild ride. I wrote it with Tobias, and he had this extensive mythology about this character, all of the characters, and how everything worked. And she's sort of a mysterious figure in some of the videos and the background, and now you're going to find out a lot more about her.
I mean, and Ghost, a very amazing band. I've listened to their music, but I hate to say I'm not as familiar with the lore behind Ghost. So if other viewers are like me, not only would I assume this comic is perfect, but what is the story of Sister Imperator?
It's there is a lot to how this, like, you can appreciate the music. I actually love the music, and their stage shows are amazing, full of just fire and spectacle and dancing skeletons and costume changes. And the mythology is a lot like that too, but it's both fun-loving, but also sort of serious. Like, it tackles some very serious ideas about how who gets power and how, and it's sort of the mythology is a lot about who runs things and how they got there and how people can amass power around cults of personality and who's actually doing things behind the scenes and who deserves to do things.
Awesome. And I mean, you got to write with Papa Emeritus himself, the
Yes.
lead singer of Ghost. What was that like? How was the involvement and interaction with that?
He's actually, I have to say, he's really amazing. Like, I loved working with him. He's a very generous collaborator. He told me what he wanted, and then he stepped back, and I had a full outline of exactly what he wanted. And I was like, okay, because of course he's a storyteller, but not necessarily a comic book writer. And as we all know, comics are very different in how you tell the story, and even from screenplays and things like that. I know that he's done some film stuff, but comics are a different beast. So he let me go ahead and say, okay, there's a lot of material here. We could do 10, 12 issues, even more with what he had. So I sort of pared things down, combined things, put things into a format that works so that the story is both in the panels and between the panels, of course. So there's way more story, but he trusted me on that. And then I came back to him and he's like, okay, but these are the things that he felt were important. And we had several video conferences. And then after that, he would read things, make extensive notes. I would change things. So it's very much his story. But he needed somebody who knew the format and the material and how to tell the story in a comic book way.
That's awesome. So I always love hearing when the actors, the musicians, the creators that are often associated with these titles are truly involved.
Yes, this was not in any way one of those things where somebody's like, yeah, let's license this out and we'll let some company make a buck and then we'll get the proceeds. He cares about these characters. He cares about the story and he wanted it to be right. I hope I did it justice. I certainly love this character and love the everything about this. So I hope I did it justice.
You have a rich history of working with characters that people absolutely love and adore, from Star Wars to Avatar. And I've yet to see you, even remotely falter. So I'm certain this will be great.
Thank you. I always feel like it's such an honor to handle these things with Avatar. I know Cameron reads every single thing, including comic book scripts and whatever. And I was told that up front. And it's just, you're right. It's a real joy when people actually care about the material. And I try to honor that.
Awesome. So for people who are coming into it completely unaware, they haven't even listened to Ghost, what is the quick pitch of Sister and Girl?
Well, it is there is a lot of violence. There's sex violence. It's like a horror movie. Like, I love horror movies. Tobias obviously loves horror movies. It's sort of a ghost story about a woman who's trying to make her way in the world, but keeps being pulled back because she's haunted by her past, both literally and figuratively, and trying to make a difference in the world, despite being a woman who no one thought could actually do this.
That's awesome. So that FOC last Monday, it will be out in roughly 3 weeks. So make sure you reach out to your local comic shop and ask for a copy of Sister Imperator. I'm certain this is going to be a massive seller, and shops are going to be overwhelmed with the fan base of Ghost fans coming into the comic shop.
And I sure hope that even if you aren't a big Ghost fan, if you're a fan of ghosts in general, in the broader sense, hopefully you'll also be interested.
Well, on that note of, the broader sense of horror and haunting, books, you've also been working on a infamous line that has one of the strongest histories in comics, EC Horror.
Yes.
EC went 63 years without publishing a brand new story, and still would year after year win awards, be one of the most talked about publishers out there for unbelievable titles like Tales from the Crypt, Panic, and countless other horrors. Now they're back, and we have 3 EC titles, actually 4 when we include the new Cruel Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had the opportunity of working on almost every single one of them, right?
Yes, I have done now, I believe, 6, 7 stories, I think. I'm trying to count them all up. But yeah, across Cruel Universe and Cruel Kingdom and Epitaphs from the Abyss. And this has been some of my favorite work I've done really ever. A couple of these stories are just things that I love enough that I was like, I wish I could do more in this. But of course, they're little short stories and they all have a sting in their tail and they're all fairly horrific. And I love to work in the horror genre. I think you can do a lot with it and say a lot with it. And this is another thing where the folks who have this license really care about it. They're involved with the family and they actually want it to be as it was and not just, oh, it's a bunch of short horror stories. They actually want it to do something the way that the originals did and have a idea of what they're doing and have a sharp point, not just cruel to their protagonist, but also looking at society. And I love that. It's so much fun to work in.
Well, I mean, and on top of that, you're filling the boots of these legends in comics, from
unbelievable
Woods to Feldstein, just amazing people. and you're just nailing it issue after
Thank you.
well, going from very different topics. Well, there is a horror theme throughout. From Cruel Universe, where you have this amazing sci-fi story, to your Epitaphs piece. I mean, these are very different genres while still part of the horror. Like, does that ever become difficult, knowing that you need to, reach these unbelievable heights with these very short stories and yet have them be so different?
Yeah, I really freaked myself out when I started working on these because I'm a huge fan of the original, and I read a ton, or reread, actually. I'd read a ton of them already, but I pulled out all my collections and reread them and went, oh no. Because they really are just like, there's a lot of them have a twist on, not forget every page, every panel. Like, they just pack so much in, and the art is so amazing, and the writing is so sharp and cruel in some cases. And so then I had to absorb that, kind of put that away and go, okay, but you still have to get the work done. So hopefully I did that. I really appreciated that, they let me do all kinds of horrible things to billionaires in some of the stories, and let me just sort of process a lot of what's going on out in the real world through these various sci-fi, horror, and fantasy stories. I feel incredibly lucky to do that.
All right. And your next one is going to be EC's Cruel Kingdom #3, which is an upcoming Final Order Cutoff title. So make sure you reach out to your stores and get that one ordered.
Dinosaurs and cats in that one.
Dinosaurs and cats. So yeah, I was going to ask. So what is the pitch for? You've done sci-fi. You've done the modern epitaphs. What are you going to be doing in Cruel Kingdoms, given a fantasy realm? Obviously, I hear dinosaurs.
Absolutely. My day job is I'm a fossil preparator, so I love dinosaurs. And they said fantasy. I thought, hey, a woman riding a dinosaur? Check. Do we want giant other creatures that didn't live with dinosaurs? Yes. All sorts of things in there that, of course, the folks who are trying to control things, it doesn't go so well for them because you really can't control that kind of environment. And, I would maybe like to spend some time there. Although I'd probably be murdered immediately.
When you're doing a short story like this, do you ever run into the issue that you want there to be more? Like, is there a way to spin out and continue this story?
I always think of short stories when I write prose or comics. I like to think of them as seeds almost, and most seeds are eaten by birds or dry out and die, but occasionally they grow a tree. So, if there was ever an opportunity, but of course, this doesn't happen very often, but I wish some of these would grow into trees.
And that is an unbelievable and perfect example of how skillfully you are writing description of. I like that seeds a lot of times are eaten up. That's valid. Going back to what we had just seen on screen, you also have another big EC one that you're going to be introducing on the very first Saturday of May each year. It is Free Comic Book Day, and you get to be working on an incredible free comic book that is EC related. I see the new horror hosts of the various EC titles.
Yes.
On that cover. Tell us a little bit about Blood Type.
This one is actually my favorite of the shorts I've written for EC. It's a vampire who she's convinced she's better than everybody else. All of these humans are just beasts. And then she finds herself trapped at sea with a bunch of them. And all sorts of shenanigans result, including some rich people who maybe shouldn't be trusted to be out there controlling anything. So,
oh man, that's gonna be fun. And that one's free. You just have to go to your local comic shop on the first Saturday of May. Free Comic Book Day, a perfect time to be at your local comic shop, and you can grab one of those and be able to read Corinna's amazing horror EC title.
Yeah, no, I want to give a shout out to Jonathan Case, did the art on this, and I have wanted to work with him. Oh gosh, probably for over a decade now. Like, I love his work so much. And the way that he handled the art in this is so perfect. I believe he used to live on a boat, and the stuff at sea is just amazing. So
That's awesome. You don't often hear about comic creators or artists that, lived on a boat.
yeah, I don't know how. I'm like, how? But seems like it would be hard, but
Yeah. Perhaps that leads to, his fine line work.
right.
All right. So is there any other upcoming titles that you can talk about right now that you're working?
Well, I didn't know this had been announced, but totally different than all of the horror stuff I'm doing. I got a Google alert last night saying it had been announced, but I'm part of an anthology for Boom, and I'm doing a Fraggle Rock story.
Ooh.
So complete opposite of all of the blood spilling across all the other pages I'm writing this year. But yes, no blood in the Fraggle Rock story.
Okay, the giant monster heap isn't coming out to eat everyone.
Only gently.
Awesome. Well, that's very exciting. For anybody who is just now discovering you through this interview, where can they find you online so they can learn more about your incredible history of writing comics and, discover what other upcoming projects you have?
Oh, yeah. Every place I am, it's Corinna Bechko, my name. And it's just whatever platform. I'm no longer on Twitter. I got off of there, so I'm on Blue Sky a lot. I do have CorinnaBechko.com, which I really should update more often. And I know there's a lot of shenanigans going on with other platforms right now, but at least for the time being, I still have a page on Facebook as well and Instagram.
Awesome. And remind yourselves that you want to reach out to your local comic shop, let them know that if you didn't get it last week, you need to get Sister Imperator. And then, of course, Cool Kingdoms #3 is on FOC. Early next month, we had mixed up the dates of #2 and #3 thanks to Diamond, but that's the fun of Final Order Cutoff. Always those 3-day window. But, yeah, and then of course, do not miss out on going to your local comic shop on the first Saturday of May every year, but especially for 2025, so you can grab a copy of DC Blood Types.
It'll be a good one.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us, Corinna. We hope
thank you.
Calm down and the fire stay away from you.
Yeah, and thank you so much. I love your shop, and every time I'm down there, I hope to get to your shop again.
It'd be awesome. We'd love to have you. All right. Thank you so much, Corinna.
Thank you.
We're going to now dive into Marvel. Got some incredible Marvel titles to talk about this week. Remember, once again, these are comics that are finalizing orders for Monday of this coming week. That is January 13th. I'm going to check my calendar really quick on there. That is, I think it's January 13th. Kyle, give me that confirmation. January 13th, right?
What am I confirming? I'm sorry.
Yep, January 13th is Monday.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm obviously running out of coffee,
Well, I haven't had any yet, so I don't know how to math.
It's troubling. It's troubling. So we'll dive directly into it with some awesome ones, and we're going to start with the all-new Venom series. All-new Venom, finally, we're still trying to figure out who this new Venom is. Is he Luke Cage? Is he Madam Mask? What we do know is that the all-new Venom is going to run into the previous Venom, Dylan Brock, in issue #3. Could this lead to the conclusion of who this new Venom is, or will it just be an awesome epic battle? You'll have to grab issue #3 to find out. We have Amazing Spider-Man 67, which is going to continue Justina Ireland's epic 8 Deaths of Spider-Man as the X-Men get involved, because as Spider-Man is going against Sidorak, obviously the wielder of the Crimson Gem, Juggernaut, is going to get in the way. Beautiful covers there, including that awesome Scotty Young. Gotta love anything Scotty Young drawn. Titles like Cable are continuing. Here's the things that I'm loving. Seeing all the recently more affordable trade paperbacks, Marvel decided they needed to join the realm of compact books with their Marvel premiere. Captain America's Winter Soldier is getting a perfectly timed trade paperback before the Thunderbolts movie, giving us the origin of Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier. And you're not paying $30, you're not paying $45 like the previous volumes. It's only $15. So these are a really cool and affordable way to grab classic graphic novels from Marvel with the new Marvel premieres. We're also, of course, getting facsimiles of classic books like Daredevil #1, now a several $1,000 book to have an original copy of. For just $5, you can get a facsimile reprint with all of the original ads, the complete story, and there's a foil version for a few dollars more. Moving on, we have Deadpool. Deadpool is starting a new storyline as Deadpool is back. Yes, Wade Wilson is back with his daughter, Ellie Camacho, in Deadpool and Daughter, Part 1, and it's the Pools of Blood. Now, what makes it the Pools of Blood? Well, it seems like the Deadpools have a mission to hunt down Spider-Man. And if you know anything about Deadpool Spider-Man crossovers, you know that none of them are still available at cover price. These are things that are highly demanded, highly sought after, great aftermarket pieces. And the cool thing is it crosses over with Miles Morales, Spider-Man #30. I want to show off that awesome Mark Brooks animated cover. Mark Brooks started a few months ago doing Disney-fied versions of Marvel characters, and they're so beautiful and were so beloved on social media. Marvel's printing them as covers. And I love this awesome image of Deadpool, Lady Deadpool, Dogpool, Headpool, all Disney-fied, because these are the last things, even though Disney did the Deadpool movie, that you would expect to see in a Disney animated style. But, I mean, have you gotten a chance to take a look at any of these Mark Brooks covers yet that have been the Disney versions yet, Kyle?
The whole Disneyfication of some of these characters, like, I can't wait until they try to, like, Disneyfy somebody that shouldn't be. And I can't think of who shouldn't be more than Deadpool.
Yeah.
But, like, at the same time, like, how are you gonna Disneyfy, like, Devil Dinosaur? Like, how do we make that work? That's what's gonna be fun for me with these. Mark Brooks is such a genius when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, there are a few people who understand cartooning, like, on a cellular, molecular level. And Mark Brooks is one of them.
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy seeing his art style change. I was showing my fiance the covers that Mark traditionally produces. You know, these just beautiful, like, chromatically masterpiece painted, you know, pieces. And then you see his Disney-fied stuff that's still just absolutely amazing, and yet a completely different art style. He is a brilliantly talented artist.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're a Deadpool fan, obviously some great options for you, because not only do we have Deadpool, we have Deadpool Wolverine, we have Deadpool Team Up. If you were bummed out when Deadpool Wolverine hit theaters that there wasn't a lot of Deadpool on stands, they're making up for it now. So always reach out to your retailer, let them know what Deadpool series you want, if not all of them, and what covers, because there are some stunning ones, including Marvel Studios ones nodding back to that film. Then for those of you guys who are playing Marvel Rivals, you've likely discovered Jeff the Land Shark. If you didn't discover him with West Coast Avengers back in the day and might have missed his amazing Marvel digital comics, now is your chance to truly discover the greatest shark that's ever lived. It's Jeff is getting a reprint, a fourth printing of the It's Jeff one-shot and a second printing of the Jeffverse one-shots, to get you all caught up and updated on everyone's favorite cute Marvel character. And there's a lot of cute Marvel characters, but nothing beats It's Jeff. Have you played Marvel Rivals, Kyle?
I haven't, but I am re-addicted to Marvel Snap.
Oh.
And Jeff the Land Shark is in Marvel Snap as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and he's kind of a pain in the neck.
I mean, as he should be, you know, teeth like that, it's definitely going to be a bite out of your neck.
Yeah, he definitely has some overpowered abilities that I really appreciate about him. But, you know, I make this joke all the time when we talk about Jeff the Land Shark. He's the only Marvel character to ever appear on SNL, and he got to eat Gilda Radner.
What? I missed it Saturday Night Live.
No, that was a joke. They used to do a land shark sketch. I didn't say it was funny.
Yeah.
It was a joke I make.
There you go. That's why we have Kyle on air, everyone, to make me look like a fool.
I laughed at it. I'm the only person on the planet.
Yeah, I know. I'm noticing Jay's not laughing on this. Our wonderful co-producer.
Yeah, Jay's tired of my BS.
Yeah. So on that note, aren't you doing a show with Jay coming up?
Yes, Jay and I are doing our live sale Sunday at 6:00 Eastern. I deleted the thumbnail. I put it back in here, and I'll show everybody. But we do Jay and I do a live sale every other Sunday starting this week. Here on the Experience, where we sell my comics and talk and make jokes, and this is the thumbnail for this week's show. Because unhinged people.
All
so
right.
yeah, it's usually a pretty good time. We usually don't take it too seriously, and usually I screw something up royally, and it turns into a comedy of errors.
So if you want that comedy of errors and you want to buy some awesome comics, remember to tune in Sunday here on The Experience.
Yes.
And then let's continue on with Marvel, because we have Magic issue number 2 with covers by J. Scott Campbell, Mark Brooks, and Lobos himself, Pablo Villalobos. Amazing covers. We have a new one-shot called Marvel Mutts, because, as I said, there's a lot of cute characters in Marvel. But some of the cutest, if it's not going to be a land shark, is going to be the pups of Marvel.
Mhm.
Everyone from Pizza Dog, Lucky himself, Cosmo, the Cosmonaut, Lockjaw, Bats, etc.
Lockjaw is best boy.
Oh, I love my Inhuman Lockjaw. But with that great Chrissy Zullo cover doing an homage to the classic dogs playing poker, and you throw in the biggest dog of Marvel, Spider-Man, it's classic. This will be a wonderful one. If you're liking It's Jeff and you want to see who's going to be the next big Marvel Rivals character, it's probably one of these pups. And then we also have New Champions. If you didn't grab New Champions and you're a Marvel fan, if you love Runaways or Young Avengers, as soon as you're done watching this show, wait till the show's over, rush to your local comic shop and grab New Champions number 1. Hopefully they still have it on stands. This is a new team of young teenage heroes. Steve Fox is kicking butt. This is a great, great opening issue. And the team is barely put together. So there's still time to discover these characters. Who are these people? Why are they wearing these iconic costumes, somewhat similar to characters like Magneto, as you can see on this? This is going to be a fun one. This is filled with great first appearances. Some of these characters have been sprinkled over previous Marvel titles over the last few months, but I think this is going to be hot. We've watched so many teen books from Young Avengers, Runaways, Strange Academy blow up on the aftermarket. We've watched everyone fall in love with these characters. We're watching the MCU develop the Young Avengers for an undoubted upcoming feature film. This is definitely something to keep an eye on, whether you're a fan that wants good storytelling, whether you're a speculator who wants a key issue, or you're just looking for good reading. New Champions, I think, is going to be it. Then we get ready for the big spring event from Marvel. It is One World Under Doom. And as you can see, there are a plethora of covers available for this big event. And with the news, obviously, that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back to the MCU as Doom, everyone's paying attention to the Doctor himself. But he's not only Dr. Doom, he is also the Sorcerer Supreme coming out of Marvel's Blood Hunt. So how do these combine? You have the leader of Latveria, the master of all things magic, and, of course, the Doctor who can bring down the Fantastic Four. Well, he's going to rule the world. How he does it, you'll need to grab issue number 1. This is part of the rise of Emperor Doom. I think this is going to be an epic that will be in high demand and see multiple printings. Then we go from one MCU-related tie-in to another. I'm sure you guys have seen the trailer for next month's Captain America 4 with Red Hulk. So obviously we need Red Hulk back in as many comics as possible. I think Marvel finally learned their lesson. We stopped killing the characters right before their movies. Instead, let's put them into comics so people can leave the theater and discover more about these characters. Thunderbolt Ross is back. It is tying into the big One World Under Doom event, and it's a brand new series by Ben Percy. So Red Hulk, as we would expect to see him in the MCU, Harrison Ford playing General Thunderbolt Ross, or President Thunderbolt Ross, it would seem. there's not much more I need to say, right? That's the Kyle cue of, like, no, you got this. That's everything we needed to know.
Kyle's trying not to cough up a lung. Give him a minute.
Okay. Sorry about that. But yeah, so awesome. Red Hulk returns. And that's not the only place where you can find Red Hulk right now. Not only is he getting his brand new ongoing series, he is also in Sam Wilson Captain America, a 5-issue miniseries, which, much like the upcoming film, pits Sam Wilson Captain America up against Thunderbolt Ross Red Hulk. So 2 titles on FOC this week that are going to obviously tie into next month's big major Marvel movie. There's even Marvel Studios covers. So if you want to know more about the Red Hulk, if you want to see some action before the film hits, these are going to be the books you're going to want to order.
I love the fact that Thunderbolt Ross finally is getting like his moment in the sun.
Yeah.
Like, he was such a bad guy for so long in the Hulk stories that now we're getting this, well, hey, yeah, he's still a bad dude. Like, we don't love Thunderbolt Ross, but like Red Hulk is not like such a bad dude. Like, Red Hulk's kind of cool. We like Red Hulk. So sorry. I love that he's getting a moment.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, Marvel's doing really great with a lot of that stuff right now. I mean, we're seeing a lot of wonderful continuing series, revival of characters who have needed new series like Deadpool, everyone that, you're loving from various animated films and TV shows to live action to even characters that just need the attention thanks to video games. Jeff getting his reprints, Spider-Boy and Spider-Gwen having their all-star moments with their incredible new series. Spider-Man in every title imaginable, just like the X-Men. I don't know that there's a bad Marvel book right now, to be honest. This is a wonderful time to be reading Marvel. So it's really just what character is your favorite and why aren't you reading their comic? As I said, a lot of wonderful continuing things. We don't have the time to talk about every single one, but make sure you look over all of these awesome covers, all these awesome series, these incredible tales at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue, and reach out to your local comic shop with any that you're not already subscribed to so you can make sure you get that awesome cover. You can get that incredible story and that your comic shop has it waiting for you and you're not rushing to go track it down or hunt it from another place. So with that said, that's it. Let's go into Dynamite. We're going to do the big boom. Dynamite has just a handful of titles on FOC this week, but as always, a plethora of covers. Always a reason to go to previewsworld.com/finalordersdue, because while you might already be committed to Henry Barajas and Alex Segura's Green Hornet Miss Fury, which cover do you want? I mean, I'd always love to hear people's opinions in the comments on like what covers speak to them or what titles they're enjoying. We'd love to talk about those things, but man, there are some amazing covers. I will tell you, Nikki over at Dynamite, him and his editorial staff know how to put together some amazing covers, from Franco Francavilla to the incredible Jay Lee. There's all sorts of amazing things. But the ones that capture my attention are on Savage Tales. Savage Tales is a one-shot. It is a winter special for 2025 that is going to be written entirely by David Avallone. David, awesome pulp writer. He knows these characters like the back of his hand. And you're going to get the 3 femme fatales of Dynamite. You're going to be getting Vampirella, Red Sonja, and Deja Thoris. And each of these stories is going to have a different artist who is perfectly, themed for that tale. All in one binding. A lot of great covers. No reason not to love on this book. So I think we need to take a quick moment to recoup. Let's do a fast commercial break, and then we'll come back with Indy and DC to wrap up this FOC.
According to a statistic that I just made up, people spend 4 hours a day changing the television channel. People who watch The Experience don't do that. Save yourself a ton of time by tuning into The Experience and enjoying our new original programming 7 days a week. And then tell your friends. Think about the money they could save on batteries in the remote alone, just by tuning into the experience. Find out more by scanning the QR code below. Did you know that Arthur, King of the Britons, in Monty Python and the Holy Grail was played by a famous Graham? Check out another famous Graham by following our Instagram.
And we're back to talk about some awesome indie comics that are on Final Order Cutoff this Monday, January 13th. As always, I want to remind you, you see anything you like, reach out to your local comic shop. The sooner, the better, so they can guarantee you these books when they release. As always, if you don't have a local comic shop, you can feel free to reach out to us at the link we provide, and we're happy to get you these books as well. But the big thing, always support local, always support your local comic shop, because you know they are awesome. So let's dive into the indie books that are on FOC this week. A lot of them available, and you can see them all at previewsworld.com/finalordersdue. But the big one I want to start off is a one-shot from AWA, the Artists, Writers, and Artisans publishing company, and it's called Cam Girl. This is definitely an adult book. Don't be shocked with that title. It is, as it deals with a girl who makes her living as a cam girl, and with that famous online alter ego. However, when a stalker gets way too dangerous in pursuing her life, it gets into a dark, twisted horror story. Danny is going to have to do everything she can to survive what is hopefully a nightmare no one has to live through, but sadly probably all too true. A single issue, $7 complete graphic novel. Cam Girl is going to be a very interesting one, and I think is going to be a hot topic book that is talked about like the water cooler event of the comic shop that release week.
Yeah, I have friends who exist in that space, and this is like a real thing that they deal with. And when I saw this on solicitation, I sent it to a couple of them, and they're like, man, we read comics to escape. This is not escapism for us, but that looks like it could be very interesting. And I went, or it'll be one of those things where you read it like, that's not real. That's not real. That's not. One of the two things are going to happen, but either way, my people who are in this space are, saying that you should check it out, because if nothing else, it'll kind of awaken you to stuff that they go through.
Yeah. Well, and Sarah Cho, who is writing it, also wrote Red Light, which was another erotic thriller from AWA that was absolutely amazing. She understands how to deal with these topics in ways that are not only entertaining and enlightening, but frighteningly enlightening. So hopefully it makes people think about what they're doing and think about what's going on in the world around them. So I'm very excited to give this one a read.
Yeah, no, and Sarah Cho is one that I can't wait to start seeing, maybe pop over to Distillery and work with, your Tulas and your Becky Cloonans and in that world, right? Like maybe a Som the volume with some Sarah Cho input. Like we can get some things going that I think Sarah's about to break really big.
Yeah, it'll be great. Then over at Titan, Jim Zub is continuing the tales of Conan with everyone's favorite female character in the Conan verse, Belit, the queen of the pirates and the Black Coast. Beautiful, beautiful cover right there by Giada Marchiso. Once again, this is an FOC reveal cover. So this is like the first few days or the first day you're seeing this cover. I love my Belit stories. Jim Zub knows Conan like nobody's business, but there's a lot of great Conan covers as always. So make sure you check out Previews World and see which one it is you want so you can let your retailer know. Obviously, we just talked with Corinna Bechko about Cruel Kingdom. So if you want more horror and fantasy, Cruel Kingdom #2 is on FOC this week. This is not the issue with Corinna, but it does have some other incredible creators like David Lapham, Andrea Moody, Steve Niles. These EC guys over at Oni are putting together all-star A-list creative teams, and you're getting these awesome short stories in these in these horror-packed anthologies. Another fun one I want to point out, Fight Girls, the Director's Cut edition. If you didn't read Frank Cho's Fight Girls, this was an awesome series that was basically a battle royale Squid Games type of thing with women in super action-packed tales. But apparently the ending we got originally in the miniseries was not the ending Frank Cho intended. So now in this $18, 160-page Director's Cut trade, you're going to get the extended version of the final issue with the ending Frank intended. And if you're the type of person who likes those director's cuts, whether it's the Donner cut of Superman to the Snyder cut of Justice League, this might be the way you want to take in Fight Girls. I know I already own all the single issues, and I'm going to be repurchasing this as the trade so I can see that altered ending. But lots of fun ones. Again, as always, every week, FOC is filled with fun and amazing titles worth looking at. Godzilla Heist, as we get a heist film with Godzilla in the background. Kind of reminds me of Kaiju Score, but hey, now it's official Toho.
Is it really a heist if Godzilla just stomps on the bank vault and then takes the money back to his horde? Like, that's not so much a heist as it is
a reappropriation of Smog from The Hobbit?
Yes.
There we go. I do love, though, that the B covers on Godzilla Heist are all going to be movie poster homages, because I believe it's issue 2 has an awesome Fast and the Furious, which is something I never thought I'd see with Godzilla.
If Godzilla's not driving like a weird import race car, then I don't know what we're even doing.
It's a tiny little Japanese speedster, I assure you.
Well, if it's not small enough that I couldn't sit in it, then... Real quick, scroll up just a little bit, but Matthias, two books right there. Stop. Killtown. It's issue 3. It's a Keen Spot book. If you can go back and get Killtown 1 and 2 from your local comic shop, this book is totally in development.
Yeah,
Sony wants to. This is modern day kung fu movie in a comic book.
Yeah.
So if you're a big fan of those classic kung fu stories, that's one to check out for sure. And then
I just want to show off that incredible Matthew David cover.
Absolutely. Those are the ones I've been getting with the Matthew. But the other one is right there. Missing on the Moon is that number 2.
That is number 2 from Mad
Missing
Kid.
on the Moon is a bottle episode murder mystery. People have colonized the moon. Everybody lives in this moon colony, and there are different neighborhoods, obviously, right side of the track, wrong side of the track kind of stories, but it's on the moon. And when people go missing, it's really hard to go missing when you live on the moon. So this is a disappearance murder mystery story that takes place in a confined space on the moon.
See, I'd be under the impression it'd be very easy to go missing on the moon, because all I'd have to do is just push you without any weights on your feet and you go off into space, no?
Right, but you can't. How are you going to open a door without people knowing?
That's valid, yes. It's all about the distraction. That's the key of it.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, so next up, also in the Elm realm, is the adult title from Distillery, Missionary. Issue number 2 is coming in. But the big adult one that is, in my opinion, far more not safe for work than Missionary is Money Shot. Money Shot is if we did Idiocracy in space. It is, once again, as I was talking earlier about with Joyride, a world where Earth doesn't want to interact with the other alien races, governments, and planets out there in space. So they lock everything off. And a group of MIT students discover teleportation. But to fund their research and exploration of space, the government won't do it. They decide they're going to do the number one most profitable thing on this version of the future, and that is adult film work. So they're going to go to other planets and sleep around and film it for money. It's so hilariously saddening that this is the future I fear we're going into, just like the movie Idiocracy. But it is a hilarious title with a bunch of great and goofy commentary. No matter what side of the aisle you're politically led on, you will laugh your butt off at it if you can enjoy a bit of adult humor. This is done by Tim Seeley, who I like that apparently Diamond has wrote as Tim Selly. So we'll have to tell Tim that he needs to change his name. But you also get Patton Oswalt, famous actor and comedian who's been in the MCU, who's been in everything. I mean, Patton's literally been in everything, is writing a story of this mature, hilarious comic. I love Money Shot. Have you read Money Shot at all, Kyle?
I read the first issue. It isn't for me.
I love it. It's hilarious. But I mean, I'm a huge fan of the movie Idiocracy. It's Idiocracy with a little bit of porn.
Yeah, I get why it appeals to people. It isn't for me. There's, again, like we were talking about earlier, I have friends who exist in that sort of space, where they make their living in adult entertainment on some form. And so to be like, okay, we're going to pair that up with science, which should be funded because it's the good of look, I got all political and I didn't want to.
Yeah.
It isn't for me. I get it. It's funny. Tim Seeley is very funny and a great creative. But Money Shot for me just hit in a way that just went, you know what? Turned off. But if you enjoy it, here's the my little push. Get the black bags. You see them right there on screen.
Yes.
Those covers are so unhinged and off the rails, you won't regret it.
Yeah, they're absolutely. I mean, we have a great list of people on there. Corin Howell, who does the Amazing Lilith series. Tula Lotay. I mean, we're not going to get to see this. There's the black bag coverage, but even Garth Graham doing these. They're awesome. Now, as Kyle pointed out, this is not a book for everyone. There is full-on nudity and there is going to be penetration. This is an 18 and up title. For those of you guys who are watching at home, there's a reason why we have the black bag covers black bagged. But that being said, if you're somebody who can enjoy that, fun title, probably one of my favorite things Vault has put out outside of Heathen. It's goofy. It's goofy, but not for everyone. And then after your My Little shout out, there's some My Little Pony for you, Kyle. The incredible My Little Pony Sky's Secret one shot hitting FOC this Monday. Just because we needed to balance out after Money Shot.
Yeah, it's true. We need to go from Money Shot to My Little Pony. Although there are probably people who would not think that was a transition. Anyway.
I mean, it's definitely a weird one. In my comic shop, we rack everything alphabetically, so it is really going to be a weird week when Money Shot is right next to My Little Pony. I might break the alphabet for that.
I don't want to derail the show. We need to keep going. But do you think there is wisdom in racking books like Money Shot separately from a book like My Little Pony, even though you normally rack alphabetically? Just so that some little kid doesn't grab it and be like, "Mommy, what is that?"
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is a weird case, and this could be a whole show discussion. And I'd love to hear other retailers because it's one of my favorite topics. But no, I would definitely keep it separate. Even though everything in my shop is bagged and boarded, well, we're happy to let people open things up and read them. We keep them bagged and boarded so that way when we have mature titles, that's not going to happen. There's nothing revealing. It is all controlled. And yes, I'm going to definitely have Money Shot away from My Little Pony for that purpose. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting conversation. Maybe that can be a separate show one of these days.
Yeah, we did that with Sex Criminals when it came out.
Yes, Sex Criminals was definitely, especially with their polybagged covers.
Oh man, I have every one of the pink polybags from Sex Criminals.
Brian Lee O'Malley did one of my favorites on there.
Mm-hmm.
But let's continue on. It's a fun derailment, but that's another topic for another show. We got to really quickly point out IDW's got Star Trek. Dark Horse has Star Wars High Republic. Both great titles, long going. You guys know if you love them, but if you didn't know you love them and you love those titles, you should be grabbing them. Here's one, though, that is a big new one. Stranger Things is crossing over with Dungeons & Dragons a second time. But the cool thing is this one is going to bring everyone's fan favorite character, Eddie Munson, in a story that is a prequel to season 4. This is the origin of how Eddie Munson became the de facto leader of the Hellfire Club, why he is the master of Dungeons & Dragons. Jay, I know you're a Stranger Things fan, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, give us the little, like, is Eddie worth reading? Do you think Eddie's a good D&D DM?
Absolutely. And those in the chat, don't spoil it, because I learned before the show Matthias has not seen this season yet with Eddie in it. Eddie,
yeah, I hate to say I have not. But just that bad timing of, I love Stranger Things, I really do. But season 4 hit when my son was just old enough to not be old enough for this show, but old enough to be aware of what's on TV. So I need to sit down. I got it before the final season. I got to catch up.
Yes, because Eddie is the epitome of don't judge a book by its cover. Like, my wife and I fell in love with his character. He was just like the breakout star of it. That book is going to keep your eye on this one, folks.
Yeah. It's written by Jody Hauser, who has done, I believe, almost all of the Stranger Things comics. Jody knows these characters like nobody's business. She's worked with the showrunners. She can write these things perfectly. She's also a big Dungeons & Dragons fan. I know she actually plays with a group of comic creators like Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly in a weekly game. So this is going to be the perfect combination. Jody Hauser, Stranger Things, Dungeons & Dragons with Eddie Munson. We'll be talking about more of those covers at the end of the show, but lots of covers. There is, 5 amazing covers to choose from. So let your store know which one you want, because we know you want that book. And with that, I think it's time we flip over to Lunar. There's one last one. One last one we got to talk about before we head over to Lunar to talk DC. And that is Valiant fans. X-O Manowar #1, the original X-O Manowar #1 by Joe Quesada, is getting a reprinted, recolored edition. Issue #0 of X-O Manowar. It's an artist edition, fully recolored. That classic 90s bit. Like, if you were a 90s comic fan, you probably owned X-O Manowar. But now you can take in Eric of Dacia with brand new alterations to that classic artwork by figures who were, still new at the time and now absolute legends, the incomparable Jimmy Palmiotti and Joe Quesada. So I'm really excited about this. Like, I hate to say, I probably own a dozen copies of the original #0 in all of its chromium form, and I'm going to rebuy this because this is exciting me.
Exo is one of those characters that when you look at it on the surface, he shouldn't work, but he works so well.
Absolutely. And I mean, literally every interpretation, Robert Venditti, Dennis Hopeless, Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad's, all of the Exos have been brilliant. It doesn't matter whether you're looking at Valiant, Acclaim, the Valiant Entertainment, or even Alien Publishing. All Exo, always good.
Well, and I just wanted to shout out the remastered Palmiotti Quesada covers.
Yeah.
Those guys were at the peak of their powers when they did those covers, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, just, look at that ink work. That is awesome. It's crazy to think that was 1992. That was over 30 years ago. That is a beautiful one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, on that note, let's switch over. We're going to wrap things up with DC. So that's going to be over at lunardistribution.com. You just type that into your engine. You're going to see this website, and you'll scroll down a wee bit to the upcoming FOC. Make sure that you're on the right date. Monday is going to be January 13th. And we have a lot of awesome DC titles on FOC, from Absolute Superman trucking forward with issue #4 and a million great covers. We have Batgirl, which I have been loving. Every retailer I've talked to has been selling out of this, which is all the more reason why you as the consumer want to talk to your retailer to make sure you have copies waiting for you and you're not hitting up the store and finding it sold out. There are some brilliant covers that we'll be talking about on Batgirl a little bit later. And Chip Zdarsky's final issue of Batman is also on FOC, issue 157, meaning after this, we get to Jeff Loeb and Jim Lee's Hush 2 storyline. But I think this double-sized special final issue will do great because Chip has been writing some awesome Bruce Wayne. We also, actually, I need to go back, have Batman Elmer Fudd as a hardcover. A few years ago, DC did a bunch of crossovers with Looney Tunes, everything from Harley Quinn and Gossamer to, I believe it was Green Lantern, Marvin Martian, or maybe it was Martian Manhunter, Marvin Martian.
Manhunter, Marvin the Martian. They did Aquaman and I forget who, but they did a lot of really great ones that I really enjoyed. But this one was by far the best.
Yeah, I think everyone else got the gig and basically said, I got a funny idea, or I can make this, work. This will be fun. And then Tom King said, this is the hill I die on. I'm going to make Elmer Fudd Batman the greatest Batman masterpiece imaginable. He dove in with Lee Weeks and made something utterly incomparable to any of the other DC Looney Tunes crossovers. And it's why it's had facsimile editions, reprints, Halloween Comic Fest and Free Comic Book Day giveaways, it was Batman Day giveaways. And now we're getting a hardcover edition for the person who needs that perfect hardbound version of this epic Batman Elmer Fudd. The book I would have never in my life guessed I was going to enjoy, and I own in multiple versions.
That was kind of what I was about to say, is that there's a level of we're going to milk this thing for all it's worth because it was so good. That, to me at least, signals and is a super example of how special that book was.
Absolutely. Then Birds of Prey, a book I will always talk up because Kelly Thompson is just hitting a grand slam after grand slam on this amazing series. Every one of these covers is just jaw-dropping. Dan Panosian is doing a connecting cover between issues 18 and 19 that is stunning. You have Sergei Kuna doing that amazing piece with the original Birds of Prey, Black Canary, and Oracle. I mean, every one of these covers, including that 1 in 25 by Rian Gonzalez, is brilliant. Now, I always want to remind everyone, always reach out to your local comic shop about the covers and, books you want. But if you're asking about anything with a 1-in type of ratio right there, not all comic shops are going to get them. These are something where a store has to order X amount of the open order covers to qualify for that incentive. So in this case, a store would have to order 25 of the A, B, or C covers to get one of the cover D. So reach out to your local comic shop to see if they're even going to be able to get it. And then if they are, always double check on what the price might be, because normally those are a bit of a premium, but they're cool collector's items. And man, that is a beautiful cover. So a lot of fun titles, some facsimiles in the way of that infamous Bob Kane Detective Comics 31. You're gonna get. I have to get a foil version of that classic cover. Not that I own the original. I mean, I don't know, Kyle. Is that within your budget? Do you own a Detective 31?
I don't believe so. I'll be honest. I don't know. I don't know what I own in Detective. What my collection contains in Detective and what it doesn't.
Love the idea that you might have like such an iconic book as Detective 31 hidden somewhere in the long boxes.
Well, no, I mean I would have to ask Grandpa if it's in the safe or the safe deposit box. Would be where that book would be in particular. I've got my doubts because I'm sure I would have heard, but like I honestly don't know, and I don't want to be like no or yes, and then find out I do, and now I feel like an idiot.
There you go.
But I will be buying the reprint, and I will be buying the blank.
Yes, that'll be a fun one to have like a modern artist try and recreate it. I mean, obviously Neil Adams, I believe, recreated it, many, many years later. But yeah, that'll be a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Another one I want to point out is Justice League: The Atom Project. If you slept on this incredible book, John Ridley, who is a was he an Oscar award winner or just nominee? Nominee, yeah. But he's writing a comic. That's awesome, with Ryan Perot, two incredible authors, doing a story about characters that I didn't think I'd care about. Look, Captain Atom's awesome. Both, Mike Choi Atom, Mike Choi, that's the artist. Ryan Choi Atom, as well as I cannot remember the classic Atom of the 1940s and 50s, but they're all good characters. Ray Palmer, that's who it is. All good characters, but they've never been the ones that have ever spoke to me. These authors have made this such an interesting piece. It directly spins out of the DC all-in one-shot that Snyder and Williamson did, and it is fun. A lot of great covers also available on there, so worth putting it on your radar if it isn't already. As you can see, Lunar Distribution also distributes a lot of other publishers that we already covered over at Previews World, so you'll see some of that again, but this is the only place you're seeing these DC covers, like those beautiful Poison Ivy 30 covers. I really, really love Villalobos's Queen of Leaves, I guess you will, but that wonderful poker card style cover design. Absolutely amazing. Just
those every time Pablo Villalobos does one of those, I have to pick it up. He's done others in the past that I've just absolutely been floored by.
Do you think you're eventually going to get like all 52 and you can build a deck and start playing poker with them?
I would love that, but what I would really love, at least for me, is for a Villalobos art book that is just the 52. Just have him do 52 of these just for the art book.
I mean, I would be all for it. Now, so here's the interesting thing I do want to point out, though, about Poison Ivy 30. It is a flip book. So we don't know what the back cover is going to look like, but I'm assuming since it is a flip book, it will have an additional cover on the back. So that should be really fun. I mean, plus G. Willow Wilson has had over 2 years of great storytelling. Poison Ivy has just been, hit after hit. Man, I feel like all I do is talk positive on comics, and I can tell you that's not always true. I wish it was, but today's FOC has just been a wonderful breath of positivity. A lot of good things on FOC this week. Hope that you guys are all reaching out to your local comic shop with a long list. Like, hey, here's my master thesis 30-page essay of comics I'd like to order this Monday. All right, one that I have to point out, we had Cena Grace on a few weeks ago to talk about this. Shazam issue 20. He is taking over the reins from Mark Waid for a guest story, and he is bringing with him Jonathan Kent. Now, my favorite thing about this is that Jonathan Kent gets zapped by the magical lightning bolt that turns Billy Batson into Captain Marvel, turns young boy Billy Batson into that adult superhero Shazam. Now, what happens when Jonathan Kent, who is an adult himself, gets zapped? He goes back to being a young boy, something we as fans missed out on as Jonathan aged so rapidly in comics. So now with a second chance at childhood, what is Jonathan Kent going to do? Is he going to go back to his dad and have this loving moment of playing catch in, the field of Smallville? Or is he going to be fighting crime with everyone's favorite Big Cheese? I'm really excited. I think that Cena is going to write a powerful and emotional story with that. And if you aren't already grabbing all the Mark Spears covers, Mark Spears is the artist of note right now. Everyone's got the spotlight on him after his Mark Spears Monsters books have been skyrocketing. His Return of the Living Dead doing phenomenal on the aftermarket. He's doing a brilliant series of covers over at Dynamite and DC, and this is one of them with that issue 20 of Shazam. I believe that's Mr. Mind in the forefront there too.
Kind of looks like.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, his art style is stunning beyond belief, but always haunting. All right. So the one we're going to wrap it up with, and it will lead into my top 10, is the Zdarsky Comic News. If you're not reading Zdarsky Comic News, well, tune into my top 10 where we're going to talk about it. So, Jay, if I can have our top 10 lists of this week, January 13th, FOC, here are the things that we got to really express. And we're going to start it off with Chew, the Nomnibus, an epic omnibus of every single one of John Layman and Rob Guillory's Chew stories, all 60 issues, and all of the Poyo one-shots in one binding for $60. There is absolutely no way you lose on this. It is a must-own. If you haven't read Chew, I don't know why you haven't, but now is your best opportunity at a most affordable cost. And even if you're like me and you own all the single issues, it's kind of cool to have it in one binding. You can loan out to make sure everyone takes in the joy of a detective who has the ability to read history and memories from the food that he eats. I mean, Kyle, you're obviously a fan of Chew, right?
I love Chew. I'm still mad that they didn't make the Chew TV show they promised us.
I know, but I did get the Chew board game, which was fun.
Yeah, that looked fun. I haven't played it yet, but it looked fun.
Next time we're together, let's do that. But
Sounds good.
Chew Omnibus, aka the Nomnibus, because nom. That was so bad.
Nom.
Yeah. All right, let's go next up. Savage Tales of Winter. I have to show off that Joseph Michael Linsner cover because not only are you getting the flex of Red Sonja's incredible arm strength there, but you're getting all three of these femme fatales looking stunning as can be. I mean, from the incomparable Draculon vampire that is Vampirella, Barsoom's own Deja Thorist, and Hyboria's Red Sonja. All three women. I love these characters. I love their creators. And David Avalone writing them, he's going to nail this. But that Joseph Michael Linsner cover takes the cake. Like, that is a hot book. Next up, One World Under Doom. It's the big Marvel event. I shouldn't have to say too much on this, but I want to point out the Rod Reyes cover. Rod Reyes is doing the interiors. So if you like this cover, that's what the inside of the book is going to look like. But furthermore, I've noticed a trend where characters sitting on thrones is really getting a huge aftermarket value. People like these books. Their values go up. There's people who seem to only collect these ones. And I mean, this is the Latvian king sitting on his throne. It's just a fitting cover under the idea of One World Under Doom. Everything about this seems like it has potential to heat up on the aftermarket and also just be the cool cover to own. Next up, we got Deadpool 11. As I always state, Deadpool Spider-Man team-ups do great on the aftermarket. And then you have this stunning cover by Clark. It is the A cover, surprisingly, so it'll do good. And you have Ellie and Wade sharing the cover along with Spider-Man. Money Shot. I mean, it may not be for everyone. It may not be the book for you, but if it is definitely the book for you. This is going to be a fun one. The interesting thing I'm seeing on this is Vault is doing the A cover as bundles. So stores have to buy them in bundles of 10 to sell them. All the other covers you can order however you please, but it's going to chase a lot of stores away, unfortunately, from ordering the A cover if they don't feel 100% confident they can sell 10 copies. Because if you only sell 2 A covers and everyone's buying the black bag covers, you're losing money on the 8 unsold covers. All the more reason why you should reach out to your store and let them know if you want that A cover so they have confidence in ordering that bundle, but also because if stores don't order that bundle, this is going to become the rarer cover over the B cover or the black bag covers. So definitely something to let your store know if you would like it, especially as it's a mature title. Not every store is going to stock it, and it's fully understandable if your store has to make those choices because of their family-friendly audience and they can't order it. That's always where you reach out and say, well, is there another store or would there be another option I can get this from you? But I think this one's going to be a fun one. It's a beautiful cover. Patton Oswalt, big celebrity that he is, will likely be tweeting about it and sending some traffic out for it. So I think this one not only is going to be a physically hot cover, but it will be a aftermarket hot cover. Then Shazam 20. Look at that young Jonathan Kent with that elder Billy Batson Shazam by Inyuk Lee. This is a great cover. Cena Grace writing it knows that it's going to be an incredible story. Definitely number 5 for me. It is a solid one in the top 10. Then in number 4, we have issue number 4 of Batgirl. Sozo Maika is a super talented artist. She really knows design and fashion. I believe she actually came from a fashion background. Her original intent was to do fashion design artwork, but her covers always just are jaw-dropping. And this Batgirl cover, that is just one of the best pieces of art I've ever seen featuring Cassandra Cain. I love it. All right, number 3, as I said, Zdarsky Comic News. If you're not reading Zdarsky Comic News, if your shop's not getting it, you should ask them about it. It is something the stores pay for. Many stores offer for free, but, just to make sure that your stores aren't losing money, it's always good to ask them, I will be slightly blunt on this. Stores pay about $1.50 to get a bundle of 10 of these. So it is totally reasonable, I think, to say, hey, if my store is not getting it, is there any way I can offer you $1 or $2 to, get the bundle in and I can get a copy? Because this is a fun, short magazine news piece that Chip Zdarsky does entirely on his own. He does these beautiful pieces of artwork for it, as you can see. He interviews creators and talks about upcoming projects from all different publishers on his own dime is the best part. Chip is doing this just to promote the wonderful medium that is comics, and I love that. But I also love Chip's goofy sense of humor and, love of himself, as he's going to be talking about his final issue of Batman that is on FOC this week. So he's dolled himself up as his favorite character.
Well, and something to know, and I just learned this, is that the pitch to this from Chip and the pitch that he made to so many of the other people who are contributing to it is that there is no Wizard magazine anymore and they miss it. And that's kind of his dream, is to turn this into the new sort of place for that kind of conversation that we used to have with Wizard magazine.
Yeah. I mean, absolutely fun one. I love Zdarsky's Comic News. So if you haven't checked it out, reach out to your local comic shop, see what you can do to get it. Like I said, I'd say I'd easily pay $3 an issue for it, but it's free for most shops. But if you need to, offer your shop, offer your shop $1.50. Say, hey, I just want one copy. Here's the $1.50 to pay for it, and then give the $9 out, and you get to be the coolest person in your comic shop for that. All right. Bronze Faces. I'm super excited. This is a very interesting topic. I am so curious to see how Shobo and Shoff Coker put this together. This is going to be very interesting. They're both, I believe, Nigerian creators, so it's obviously a very topical and relatable concept to them. But then you get this Dan Mora cover, and Dan is always a brilliant artist. This is the cover I'm personally going to be ordering for myself, but a fun one. I mean, the idea of people taking back what technically belongs to them from these, these museums that have a history of taking. And I am the type of person who goes to a museum and loves seeing these awesome historical pieces and pieces of arts. And I love that I have access to that because of where I live in the world. It's still a thing that we have to recognize what was done was wrong. So this will be a very interesting story, I believe. Finally, my number 1, Stranger Things, Dungeons and Dragons. Jay called me out on this. I haven't seen season 4, but I recognize everyone's love of the character of Eddie Munson. I've loved everything I've seen about the actor on this. I'm a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan, and I love the first 3 seasons of Stranger Things. So I promise you all, I will catch up. But this might be the thing that leads me into it. And I love the first Stranger Things Dungeons and Dragons comic, which dealt with our original protagonist playing their D&D campaign. This, I think, will be really fun. And the cover by Lambert here, an homage to the original Dungeons and Dragons book with the red dragon and the D20, throwing in Eddie Munson. It's awesome. But I would love an opinion from somebody who obviously is a fan and saw season 4. So my number one pick, Jay, what are your thoughts on it?
I think this is going to be a hot book. Like I said, the love for Eddie is still going strong. My wife and I, as soon as the show was over and they had them available, I bought myself 2 Hellfire shirts. She got herself a Hellfire shirt. And, you know, Joseph Quinn is going to be Johnny Storm in the Fantastic Four movie. So
I didn't realize that.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be a hot book, folks. Keep your eye on this one.
Yeah, I mean, and then for those who are actually going to, you know, see him at conventions or anything, this is a great book to get signed. Jody Hauser does a lot of, you know, conventions as well, so you can get that signed. Everything about this. Hot cover, in-demand property. We got the final season of Stranger Things on the way later this year, 2025. Everything about this seems like it's fire. This is number 1 this week on FOC for a reason. So with that said, I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank everyone who reaches out to their local comic shop. The sooner the better with your orders, so that way you can have your comics guaranteed and your comic shop owner or manager or whoever's doing the orders has that breath of fresh air that they know I got everyone what they wanted. I thank you guys all for that. I thank the incredible co-producers, Jay and Kyle, especially Kyle, who's been dying on air with us. Thank you guys for sitting with us and joining us. We have a number of great programs on the experience later today, including Nikki's art show, which will be in a few short hours. But thank you guys all for tuning in. And remember, we'll be back next Friday with another guest and more comics that are on Final Order Cutoff. Get your orders into your local comic shop before Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard at the latest. But the sooner you get them in, the better you are. Love you. Have a nice one.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.